After this brilliant video, which is an innovation in the Arctic Circle gatherings, which we must copy in future meetings, there is perhaps not very much to say, because this short video, in the age of mass communication and short messages, where images and pictures are perhaps more important than words, kind of says it all and answers very well the question which was sometimes posed to us when we were explaining the idea of bringing the Arctic Circle to Edinburgh and encouraging the Scottish government to host it. The question, why should Scotland be a part of this growing Arctic dialogue? And I think not only this short video, but also what we have witnessed during those 2 days answers that question in a very brilliant and comprehensive and dynamic way. Not just from the point of view of the Arctic Circle countries and the Arctic states and all those leading countries in Asia and on the European continent, which are already involved in the Arctic dialogue and cooperation, but also for all of us who are trying to construct a new form of progressive political and social engagement in the Arctic. I have sometimes said that the Arctic is perhaps the last political laboratory on this planet. We had the colonial parts in Africa and other parts of the world, and from the middle of the 20th century, we saw a political theater appearing there, a laboratory that changed colonialism over to the independence. We saw the transformation of the Asian countries and Latin America moving from dictatorships over to democracies, and then we saw the end of the Cold War and everything that followed from it. There was no big part of the planet left except the Arctic or the Northern Territories, where we needed to come together to construct new frameworks and mechanisms and platforms for successful cooperation. And it happened at a time where mankind and nations and people all over the world became aware of climate change and the threat to the planet. And all of a sudden, the entire world discovered that the Arctic was not a faraway, unimportant, perhaps only exotic place, but was the core of the future of the planet. But in addition, it also harbored communities and people and traditions and histories and challenges in terms of science and economic and social development. And in order to meet these challenges, the people in the Arctic not only needed to think in a new way, but they also needed to draw on the experience of other people. And what we have seen here during those 2 days, and I am profoundly pleased about it, is the great multidimensional contribution which Scotland can make to this evolution, this laboratory of political, economic, scientific, and social transformation. And let me also be very open about another thing, another element in all of this. One of the advantages of coming from the north and the Arctic, as you have also seen during those 2 days, we are pretty straightforward talking people. You only have to go to London to get kind of sophistication of trying to hide what you actually mean. But up in the north, we are straight talkers. So let me say this very openly in a friendly and positive way to all those concerned, also in faraway places. Imagine a small country like my own, over 300,000 people. We became a republic in 1944. And all of a sudden, in the last 10 years or so, we are dealing with China, Japan, Korea, France, Germany, Russia, United States about our geopolitical neighborhood. It's quite a challenge. And not only we, also the people of Greenland and Faroe Islands, 50,000 plus in each place, and the indigenous communities in Canada, in Alaska, and elsewhere. It's a monumental challenge for these communities to deal with the world which has now appeared in our backyard. And by bringing Scotland into this community and into this debate, we hope we get a partner which is rooted in our neighborhood, not just in geopolitical terms, but also in terms of your social, political, and economic history and the way your political and social system is and how you think. So because of the globalization of the Arctic and the North, we need Scotland to become our partner. And enthusiastic engagement from not just the Scottish government, but from Scottish universities, Scottish business associations, entrepreneurs, social communities, remote communities, young people, and others. And I hope these 2 days have convinced Scotland that not only will Scotland in this broad multidimensional participation, not just at the governmental level, but also almost at every other level, been welcomed wholeheartedly, but the contribution will be of extraordinary significance for the future of the North and the Arctic. But I hope you have also realized from these 2 days, which some might have doubted before, that a dialogue between us in the Arctic and the North and Scotland is a completely natural dialogue. And if you doubted that, then just listen to the last session about the young people, where young people from Greenland, Alaska, and Scotland shared experiences as if they were from neighboring communities. And that, to me, was part of the beauty of these 2 days, that this dialogue was completely natural and authentic and true. And that is not given in terms of bringing people together from different parts of the world. Often the dialogue tends to be formalistic, stale, and definitely devoid of new ideas and dynamic proposals. I hope also these 2 days have demonstrated to the economic and business community in Scotland and the political leadership that there are huge economic opportunities by engaging further into the networks of air transport, tourism, shipping, economic and energy development that's happening north of Scotland. That the economic future of Scotland is not just linked to the European continent, with all due respect to the countries there. The economic future of Scotland is also linked to the multi-dimensional systems of economic progress that are evolving and are already operating north of Scotland. And that perhaps needed to be emphasized, if I may say so, as an observer of this country. That whereas the dialogue and the debate about the future of Scotland within the United Kingdom and with respect to the countries on the continent of Europe is only a part of the story. The other part of the story of the future of Scotland is north of Scotland. And in that global platform, you can also independently engage with the leading economies of Asia, as well as paradoxically with the leading countries on the European continent. So you are in a kind of this beautiful position that you can engage with the leading countries on the continent, both by looking south to where they are and going up north where they are already placing themselves in a very strong and purposeful way. Therefore, I am very grateful to the First Minister, to the Government of Scotland, which I sometimes say instead of the Scottish Government. I apologise if that's a diplomatic faux pas. And for all the officials and the people who have made this forum possible, who have hosted us here in this beautiful historic building. Because what has happened in these 2 days, for the first time in the history of Scotland, well, that is a long history, and in the modern history of the Arctic and the North, is that we have brought these two partners together. That has never been done before. And it was not given that we would succeed in doing it. But I say to you, with all the political experience I have gathered over the years and the decades, that what we have created here has the potential to grow in a fascinating way. And to be a part of that growth and that journey will be not only intellectually fascinating, but also will be very productive in terms of everything we care about, whether it's the climate or the nature or our communities or the future of Scotland and the North. Thank you.